Hi everyone and welcome back. Today let's talk about one of the most exciting and in-demand role in tech, that is data engineering. In our previous videos I have covered the top 10 IT skills required and the data engineer was one of them. In this video let's explore more and decide what skills will more demand for the IT professions and what are the core skills and what are the optional skills. Okay. Do you know every click, every video, every transaction generates the data? But who makes sense of it all? That's where data engineers come in. Behind every AI, every dashboard, every new decision, there's data engineers who actually turns the chaos into clarity. What if I told you data is the new oil and the data engineers are the real refiners? Billions of data is getting generated every day, but without data engineers they are just noise. Have you ever wondered how the Netflix recommends you the movie and how Amazon will predict what you will buy next? Then watch this video. Let's begin the data engineering course with basic questions like why data engineering matters and what is the demand and how the growth will be and what are the evolving skill set required for this role and why should we opt this role. Right. Mostly organizations are choosing the engineers who actually build, scale, and maintain the data pipelines and who will transform the raw data into business value. So, those engineers having the high demand. And how the demand and growth is. As per the stats, we can see nearly 1,50,000 professionals are already employed globally. And we can see 20,000 plus new openings were added last year itself. And if we see the growth rate, it's growing around 20% rate and we can 30. And if we see some basic skills are whatever required, if we see the SQL, Python, cloud plus streaming will be more demanding. And if we see the real-time architecture, cloud native framework, and GenAI embedding are reshaping the job requirements. But why we should care this one? Because of only two motives. Because it is a high demanding course and also a strong compensation. So the data engineers are commanding premium salaries, right? And if we see the career resilience also, business across sectors like tech, finance, healthcare, e-commerce rely on data pipelines only. So the role is embedded in a major operations. Let's go through this one. So this is the data engineer profile skill set and how the setup will be. Like if you see like 1 to 10, these will be the key basic skills will be required to get a data engineer job, but you should not need to have all the skill set. Some of them will be required and as part of the role and job requirement these will get changed usually. But let's discuss through the whole concept wise first, and I have already created a beautiful ppt to get more insight also with these skills. Right. So if we are going with the first one is programming languages. The foundation of data manipulation, automation, and building a data pipelines. For that, we will definitely need a programming language. So based on your requirement, you can select which will be needed, whether it is a Python, Java, or a Scala or a SQL. Right, most used in data engineering will be that Python will be used for ETL scripting, APIs, and automation purpose. We will use the Python, and there will be some libraries. Mostly we use useful are like Pandas, PySpark, Requests, Boto 3 will be used mostly. So in real world, we can say automate pulling data from APIs and loading into the databases. So this will be required. If we go with the Java, is the high performance pipelines only mostly used for the big data purpose. Hadoop, Kafka. For this purpose, mostly we will use this one. We can say strong typing helps with large scale production systems. And Scala is a functional programming language for Apache Spark. Great for distributed processing, it will be good thing. And if we want to go with the SQL, right, querying, filtering, joining, aggregating the data, performance related things. So every data engineer must master this skill. So this is about this thing. So we can say like every successful data pipelines begin with the code and these languages from your toolkit for extracting, transforming and loading data efficiency. Definitely these will helpful to you. The second one is the processing approaches. Like it will be like in your modern data system, timing is everything. We need to select like whether it is a batch or we need to select whether it is a stream. We can go with the batch for the consistency and streaming for immediacy, we can say. So like what is batch processing, what is stream processing, we can say like we can schedule some intervals or time for the batch processing. Like mostly in the night times we will set up one schedulers and all day processing will be loaded into the database through a batches. Well, if we go with the stream processing, like it's a live data, automatically it will process. Real-time data flow will be set up in the streamline processing. For example, for the batch processing, we can say nightly financial reports will be set up, and for the stream processing, uh, fraud detection, stock trading, IoTs, all these will be streamlines. So the skill sets we can see the Spark, Hadoop, Flink will be used in the batches, and for this stream processing, Spark, Hadoop, Kafka, Kha will be used. And the third one will be like databases. So your choice of database defines your performance. Structured data belongs to SQL, unstructured finds it home in NoSQL. So based on your requirement, as part of that, this is the backbone of data storage and querying, we can say. So that you can decide on your requirement basis. And the fourth one is messaging platforms. Messaging platforms like to move the data between systems asynchronously and reliably. We should go with the messaging platforms. Think of messaging platforms as the data highways connecting every moving part of your data ecosystems. We have Kafka for event streaming. There is a backbone for distributed systems, and RabbitMQ message queuing with routing and prioritization. We have Pulsar high performance PubSub with multi tenancy. Okay, another skill we can check is data lakes and warehouses. This is very important one. Like storing and analyzing large scale data, we should go with any of these. Like if we are data lake means we can say is the raw data storage, direct we can store it. And data warehouses are like structured processed data. For raw data we can use if we are going with Amazon S3 and GCP with the BigQuery, and we have some these things also. HDFS also there for the data lakes, and the data warehouses we have Snowflake, Redshift, BigQuery. Data warehouses where clear and processed data will store. Data lakes keep everything good, bad or raw. Warehouses refine that into valuable insights in one way. All right, another one is cloud computing and platforms. The main purpose is scalable infrastructure to run data systems, the cloud computing things. Well, we can say some key topics here. AWS, we have S3 buckets, Redshift, Lambda, serverless will be there in AWS. And if we go with the GCP, BigQuery data flow will be used mostly for modeling, and Azure data lake Synapse will be used. Docker, Kubernetes, these are for deployment and container orchestration we will be using. Lambda and serverless event driven automation. So the cloud is the new data center, we can say, infinitely scalable, fully automated, and pay as you go uh, basis. So cloud we should adapt as for the infrastructure adapting basis. And the seventh one is storage systems, where raw and processed data lives is the storage system. We already discussed in data lakes and warehouses, right? So raw and all the data related storage will be happening in the storage systems. Okay, so data storage is your digital memory actually. Design it smartly or drown in your own data. The eighth skill is like orchestration tools. Okay, automate and manage data workflows. Apache Airflow we have. Okay, Apache Airflow like directed acyclic graphs, DAX for scheduling. We will use this Airflow. Jenkins we will use CI/CD, CID for data pipelines purpose. Logi, a lightweight workflow manager. We will use this one also for the orchestration purpose. Imagine a symphony. Every instrument must play in order, right? Orchestration tools are your conductors. Automation and deployment will be the ninth one. We can say we already discussed about Jenkins, right? Like streamline, test and deploy systems efficiently. So we will use this automation brings consistency because real engineers don't manually deploy. It's through the automation only. We have some different tools here, Jenkins or GitHub actions like continuous integration pipelines. We have Docker. We have containerization for reproducible environments. And Terraform is the infrastructure as code. Directly, we will deploy infrastructure as a code. Right. In the final one is the front end and dashboarding purpose. We will say like turning the data into insights. We will go with these the dashboarding things. Okay, Jupyter Notebook. Um, we have exploration and prototyping, Power BI, Tableau, Plotty, visualization and storytelling purpose. We will use them. Airflow UI, right? Monitoring pipelines visually. So these are all front end dashboards. We don't need all of them, and don't get confused with all these skills. We will only use the required ones only as per them. Actually, data has no meaning unless it tells a story, dashboards, or how we make data speak, right? So, for that purpose, so dashboarding and this will be required. So, let's back to our PPT, and the next one is so whatever we discussed here until are all the skills required for a proper data engineer, but which all are not required at all. We have some basic skills which are required to kick start your career, and we don't have any negotiation in those things. Like the first one is SQL. You must and should know the SQL, how the querying happening and the joins, optimization techniques and indexes, how it is using, all the constraints and all the functions and all these things will be needed, and you should master first. A SQL is a basic understanding. Whatever if you want to start your career and move into, if you are going with a data warehousing things, a BigQuery or a Snowflakes, so all these things will be started with SQL only, similar to the SQL queries only, more or less some changes. And even all other databases like Oracle, PL SQL, sorry, PostgreSQL, and MS SQL Server, all these are related to the SQL only. So it will be the basic thing. And the Python will be mostly required everywhere. Like for the scripting purpose, we will use the Unix scripting or Python scripting. ETL logics will be mostly written in the PySpark, and automation. Most of the automations will be set up through the Python only. So Python, the programming language, which is very basic, friendly one, and also a required concept. You should know if you want to become a data engineer. You must and should master in that thing. And the data warehousing concepts, we have some, what is the OLAP, OLTP, transactional and analytical processing differences, how the normalization works, and how the schema designs will be there in the data warehouses like Snowflakes, Star Schema, and how the SCDs will fall into the tables, and all these information will cover in the data warehousing concept. You must should know. And the cloud basics, you should not master completely into this cloud one. If you learn any one um, cloud, AWS, GCP, or Azure, even Snowflakes also it's coming into as a cloud alternative here. So all these are more or less similar to the, as the concept wise, like how the storage is happening, and how the computing will happen, data services, and also the serverless applications, and even Jenkins, all will be connected through these things, cloud thing. And Unix and shell scripting, mostly we will use these for writing the shell script and scheduling those shell scripts, and automation purpose mostly we will use. So these are the basic skills you should cover first, then you can go. Let's go more into this one. I have already covered this in the first slab. So if you have any doubts, so you can go through this PPT more clearly. Like Python, how why we use this for ETL, APIs, automation, and data processing. We will use it. This is must and should skill. Java, optional. Is the backbone of Hadoop. If you have any big data processing only, then you no need to go with all this. Java, Hadoop systems are mostly more or similar like Java code only. Scala, so we already covered it. SQL, this is must and should need to have the skill for the programming languages, right? The processing approaches. So based on your approach, you can go with the skill. And the databases, we already covered this one. So how which database you will be required as part of your requirement. Mostly if you are going with GCP, you no need to have any databases. We can directly, if you are directly places in the BigQuery data warehouses by storing some of them in the buckets through file processing in that methodology. So you don't need the databases. So you can directly go into the warehouses. So in some cases, you'll be needed the relational or non-relational databases. So based on the project requirement, you should master. But for all these databases concept, the only skill will be SQL. Right, so that's the main thing. That's why we have put it in the SQL is the basic concept. So once you are mastered in the SQL, you can adapt any of them. Non-relational database somewhat different, but MongoDB, Cassandra will be non-relational. So some syntax-wise differences will be there, but you can adapt it, no issues. The messaging platforms also, these are not mandatory things. These will be decided based on the project requirement. Some of them use um, whatever the requirement basis. For the streaming purpose, Kafka will be used, and reliable message purpose, RabbitMQ. And PubSub purposes, so we have Pulsar here, and for in the GCP directly we have the PubSub messaging services, right? So based on your environment and project requirement, you can select that one. That is also optional one. Data lakes and warehouses, as we already discussed, we have GCS buckets in or S3 buckets in AWS and GCS buckets in GCP. So we will use directly data lakes, and we can place it in the warehouses, BigQuery or this one instead of databases. That's why I told the databases is optional. If we have the buckets optional available here, and the data warehousing concept also necessary these skills. And the cloud computing platforms, we already discussed, these are AWS, GCP, Azure. If you learn, if you are master in one skill, you should know, you know all of them. You can differentiate each skill, but you must and should know these cloud computing platforms. Any one you should master, or based on the project requirement you can start doing this one. Storage systems, we have already covered this one. The S3 buckets, partitioning, lifecycle process, redundancy, and key design points. These are the basic requirements we will do with these storage systems. Orchestration tools also we have covered. This is the eighth one, like Apache Airflow, Jenkins orchestration purpose. Luki, we will use the lightweight dependency one. Automation and deployments will happen through Jenkins and GitHub. Through we will create the Docker images as well, and we will deploy the images directly tags, and we will deploy these all through Terraform, or like infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code is this simple thing. We no need to deploy. If we are having 1,000 tables and 200 or 2,000 views, you don't need to do one by one. You just process all of them in one go through Terraform. Is the total infrastructure will go in one way, and through the environment basis, we can give the environments as variables, and we can pass on to all the other environments, STS, IT, OAT, prod, till it will automatically deploy. This is the automated pipelines, which is most required skill for a data engineer to be. And we have already covered the front end dashboarding, why it is required. These are the Jupyter notebook, and for the exploration of quick visualization, Power BI, Tableau, and we have ClickSense, and also Tab. We have other dashboard skills. Looker Studio will have. Based on the project, again, I'm saying, like if you are using a GCP, you have Looker Studio already set up. Oracle PL SQL, you can go with the ClickSense and all these things. You can use it. Actually, dashboards will be the main thing which will user will receive, customer facing thing. So this we need a proper designing, and you should master in that skill if you want to be a complete master in data engineer. Thank you. Any questions and comments will welcome. And the mostly I will in my next videos, coming videos, I will cover all the core concept clearly with the 20 to 30 episodes with will SQL, PL SQL, and the cloud and database, data warehouse concepts clearly with the materials. Okay, stay tuned. Thank you.